So recently there was a tragedy that was on the Florida Turnpike here, and it resulted in three people from South Florida who lost their lives. This happened on August 12th. Let's see, the gentleman's name who was driving the semi truck, Mr. Singh, his first name is Harhinder Singh, a 28-year-old illegal immigrant from India, allegedly caused a horrific crash on the Florida Turnpike in Fort Pierce by attempting an unauthorized U turn while driving a semi truck, leading to the deaths of three South Florida residents: a 30-year-old man from Florida City, a 37-year-old woman from Pompano Beach, and a 50-year-old man from Miami. When their minivan collided with the jackknife trailer, as captured in a viral video viewed millions of times online, Singh, who entered the U.S. illegally in 2018 and obtained a commercial driver's license in California, was arrested on August 16th in the Stockton, California, facing 3 counts of vehicular homicide and an ICE detainer for deportation, sparking intense debate over sanctuary state policies and commercial licensing laws. The Florida Highway Patrol called his actions shocking and criminal, while the video shared widely on X and reported by Fox News, NBC's, and the such. Um, this here is crazy, and it's fueling public outrage and calls for stricter immigration and driver's license regulation. Let's get right into it. This is the U-turn in Florida that turned deadly.
Well, meanwhile, what's happening with these illegals
Oh,
that were
gosh.
in Florida?
This story.
They shouldn't have never had a CDL license, but they got one in California. We brought you this story yesterday, and it looks like they were able to. It was denied the work permit was denied by the Trump administration, but the Biden administration granted them that work visa.
But of course, that didn't stop Governor Gavin Newsom from deciding to continue his trying to cosplay as Donald Trump by getting on Twitter and talking a big game, talking smack, saying, hey, genius, talking to the Trump administration. The federal government, Trump admin, already confirmed that this guy meets federal and state immigration requirements. You issued him a work permit as usual. The Trump administration is either lying or clueless. P.S. at Grok, who was the president in 2018. So this was all part of Gavin Newsom trying to pretend like he's a tough guy like Donald Trump because he doesn't have enough to do in his own state, like rebuilding neighborhoods that were burned to the ground by the wildfires. Tricia McLaughlin, DHS Assistant Secretary, responds and absolutely destroys him, saying false. Harjinder Singh, who's the driver of the truck that did the illegal U-turn, who's an illegal and should not have had a license, is in the United States illegally, and his work authorization was rejected under the Trump administration on September 14th, 2020. It was later approved under the Biden administration, June 9th, 2021. The state of California issues commercial driver's licenses. There is no national CDL. Sincerely, genius. So she came bringing the receipts and dropped a ton of bricks on Gavin Newsom's head.
I love that she knows the exact dates.
Oh, yeah.
September 14th. You know, that's when Donald Trump denied it. This is all because Gavin Newsom was getting criticized because there's that car accident on the Florida Turnpike where this guy, this illegal immigrant's doing the U-turn, barely even has an expression after he realizes the minivan doesn't have time to stop and slams underneath his truck. Look at that. Three people died in that, killed 3 people. And he has barely an expression when he's caught on his dash camera. And then he ends up in California. They arrest him out in California in Stockton and charge him with 3 counts of vehicle homicide and says that he entered the U.S. illegally. Then Gavin Newsom was criticized for giving him this, what's the license called? The truck driver?
Commercial driver's license.
Yes.
Well, real quickly before we move on to DeSantis' response to this, I think, Ainsley, you brought up an important point. His face was just stone cold as this happened. And I think it's important to note that 2 people died on the scene, right?
Yes.
The other person died in the hospital, but the white coat that was put over their body on the scene, and you have no reaction to those people that you just killed over a stupid turn. I don't care if you, I mean, if you're in the country legally or illegally, you should know you can't turn the car.
And it's not like he's driving an SUV. He's driving an 18-wheeler and does a U-turn on the interstate.
It's idiotic to give driver's licenses to illegal aliens. But the idea that you're going to give a driver's license, a commercial driver's license no less, to somebody driving a 100,000-pound missile up and down the highways, are you freaking kidding me? I don't know how this could possibly have happened, but I hope the people who made those decisions are held criminally and liable and civilly.
Ron DeSantis is trying to get him extradited back to Florida.
This here is egregious. And Governor Newsom, Gavin Newsom in California. Californians, I have family there, friends there. Please do yourself a favor, do the country a favor. When it's time to vote, vote this man out. Look at the multitude of things that this guy drops the ball on. And he sits there and the only reason he's even commenting on this is because he's getting heat for it. And this guy is trying to run for president. Can you imagine this guy being in charge of the United States? Gavin Newsom, look him up. Look at all of the things that this guy has done. I believe he's inept. I believe he's obtuse. I think he is someone who is just a career politician, and he is just looking for the camera to go ahead and whenever he can try to go up against Donald Trump to kind of be like, well, you know what? I'm a fighter. I'm fighting against Trump, regardless of what it is that President Trump is doing, which he is doing a great job for the country. This guy is only worried about politics. And I'm talking about Gavin Newsom. He is a horrible, horrible governor in California. And I've spoken to people who live in California, friends and family. They do not like Gavin Newsom at all. And these people are, some of them, not all, are Republicans. I mean, Democrats and Republicans. So it's a mixture. None of them like this guy, and they want to vote it out. So California, do the country a favor and do your beautiful state a favor. Vote Gavin Newsom out of office. Let's go to the actual footage, and they're right. This guy is standing there looking like he did nothing wrong, and you know he is not empathetic whatsoever. At least his appearance, man. His appearance, I don't know. But let's take a look at the actual crash video. And this is from his dash cam in the truck. Look at this. This is crazy. See that? Horrible. This is crazy. There. You can see it right there. And he's looking. Unbelievable, man. These people lost their lives. And this gentleman shouldn't even be driving a semi-truck. There are jobs that I feel like you should never cut corners on. And this is one of them. Driving a semi-truck, I don't think, no corner should be cut on that job, man. This should be taken very seriously, and the rules and regulations of driving a semi-truck or getting your CDL, they should be adhered to the highest standards. This guy is in the country illegally, and he's able to get a CDL, and this is what happens, man. 3 people lose their life. Let's take a quick look at the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, who in my estimation, is 100 times better than the governor of California, Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom, I believe, should be voted out. I really do. I just think that this guy is just a horrible, horrible governor, and there's a litany of things that we can go ahead and show. But let's just stick with this topic right here. Let's get to Governor DeSantis.
Pointing to a recent incident in Florida where 3 people died in a crash caused by an illegal immigrant with a California driver's license. That illegal immigrant now facing 3 charges of vehicular manslaughter. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis wants Congress to take action to stop this from happening again.
Yes.
You shouldn't be giving illegals driver's license. We don't allow that in Florida. California does. They've issued probably over 1 million licenses to illegals in recent years. But to have somebody like that on our roadways putting people in jeopardy, yes, criminally prosecute him, the illegal, 100%. But I think it's got to go beyond that. And I think we got to get tougher on this nationally. Ultimately, I think you're going to need the Congress to use the power of the purse and defund states like California that are sanctuary states and their similar cities.
What I find so fascinating about this is that there are 19 states, as well as the District of Columbia, that have enacted laws to allow unauthorized immigrants to obtain driver's licenses. And now we're seeing this tragedy that occurred in Florida and a fairly significant pushback where they're asking perhaps if there's something that can be done at a federal level.
Well, and I see this as a double layer of prevention. So the issue here is that people point to this and say this tragedy could have been prevented. This person should not have had what is a privilege of a commercial driver's license. And it seems to me that certain groups of people behind allowing things like this feel that a driver's license is a right, that someone should absolutely have that. It dovetails into the concept behind the law, which is despite a scarcity of resources, if a human is on this soil, then they must be entitled to all of the same things that people who were here legally are. And at the end of the day, they're not. It is a scarce resource constellation that we're dealing with. Illinois is in the hole already $2.5 billion just for the last 3 years alone, and they're going to add in tuition now. That's all healthcare. And then you go back to the driver's licenses, and the reality is that the vast majority of criminal behavior on the part of illegal immigrants actually do have to do with vehicles. And that, with the soaring death rates as well on the highway, that is a massive layer of prevention that could occur in addition to the implementation of enforcing these federal immigration laws. You get pulled over, you don't have a license, great. That's one more person that can be deported and make the roads safer and enhance the application of this mandate that President Trump has to keep America safe.
Yeah, and Lawrence, Emily just kind of broadened the discussion. You know, we're not just talking about a loss of lives, but there's a major financial issue that has been at play, particularly which came to light during the migrant crisis, where so many communities and states, even blue states, were frustrated by that crisis and the costs.
Well, my father's a truck driver. And apparently this issue is pervasive within the field. Apparently they're passing out CDLs. I don't understand why that should be happening in this country when this is, you know, first they were telling us these are the jobs that people don't want. Well, this is clearly a job that a lot of people want. It's a high-paying job if you do it the right way, but these truck drivers are away from their families. This is not the position that Democrats want to find themselves in, defending people like this, like the man had no sympathy, by the way, when you had 3 people that die on the scene. No sympathy at all. I will say this. I have been disappointed in the lack of candor when it came to the Democrats and strategy. You can hand over the criminals. You can hand on the people that are violent to this administration and work with the president on some visas for some folks so they can do it the right way. But instead, I haven't seen any attempt to work with the administration to get something done. Take a cue from the EU and all these European leaders who once disagreed with the president but realized it really didn't work and didn't serve their interests.
And on the issue of driver's licenses, Nicole, this gets you across a certain threshold to have this legal ID that you can present.
Right. And I mean, I find it absolutely stunning. I mean, I am a resident of Florida. That was my state. I'm very familiar with that area. And to think California issued this, you know, that's a sanctuary state. Why should we be punished in the state of Florida because California, that was a commercial, you know, driver's license, killed 3 people. And like Lawrence said, that man had dead eyes. After that happened, he just kind of looked like nothing even happened. I mean, that's absolutely disgusting.
This guy looked like he didn't have a care in the world. And you just unalived 3 people. And you have Gavin Newsom, who is, like he always does, he grandstands and he is going to politicize it, of course. Well, and in this situation, he's trying to get out of hot water. And then he does not even look into the information as closely as he should. This guy, you know, Gavin Newsom, in my estimation, he doesn't care, man. He wants to use this situation as a political pawn. This tragic situation, he wants to go ahead and use it. And I just think the guy doesn't care. And I believe he is obtuse, man. Gavin Newsom, please, California, vote this guy out. You guys deserve better. And this is a tragedy here. But unfortunately, this happened. And now it brings a bright light on this whole situation as far as CDLs and people who should not have them, and illegal immigrants who aren't even supposed to have driver's licenses, let alone CDLs. And then you have someone like Gavin Newsom, who is grandstanding and virtue signaling like he always does.